As many of you know, I grew up not far from here. I actually grew up in Mount Prospect, over near Gulf and Bussey. You know that area there? It was a neat little neighborhood. Everybody was basically in the same age group. My parents' neighbors were all young parents themselves. So each night, throughout the neighborhood, they would gather at one patio or another with their beer and their iced tea and their lemonade and whatever else, and just share stories of the day and laugh and just hang out together while all of us kids, we ran the neighborhood. We were all over the place. Literally grew up together. To this day, there are several people from that neighborhood that I am now Facebook friends with and that I follow just to see what they're up to as they tend to see what I am up to. Just yesterday, Gail and I were in Mount Prospect, and just kind of on a whim, I wanted to drive by the old house, the old neighborhood. And as we drove by, one of my parents' old neighbors, very good friends that lived behind us, were outside. And I pulled over, and they spent a good hour just catching up. They just wanted to know everything that I was up to. They also could not believe that I am in my late 40s and have kids that are in their 20s now. It just was amazing to them that this has happened. But I had spent many hours as a kid myself at their house. Their daughter was a year younger than me, so we hung out together at times. So it was fun, and they sat there and told, oh, that house is still owned by the Coles, and that house is still owned by the Grons, and they're going through, and I'm thinking, boy, nobody left. Nobody left. And then it occurred to me, it's because it was a community. Everybody there not only knew each other, they truly cared for each other. Whenever there was some kind of an emergency or problem, they rallied around each other. Our next door neighbor, many years ago, their kids, actually both kids, were driving home from school together and were in a car accident. And it was my mom who drove Mrs. Rejny over to see how Eric and Karen were doing and stayed with her for several hours as they tried to get everything taken care of and settled and make sure that the kids were okay. When my mom had an accident, it was the neighbor across the street that took her to the hospital. It was just the way things were. Everybody knew each other. Everybody took care of each other. Like I said, it was a community. And because of that, through the years, almost nobody has left. And to this day, a lot of those folks know what is going on in the lives of us kids, even though we are all in our 40s and early 50s now. This is community. The church is a community. We are called to be the same thing, a place where this is family, where we all know each other as brothers and as sisters, where we all care about each other's needs, where we all rally around those who are sick or scared or grieving, where we celebrate life's milestones with each other, and where we welcome everyone through these doors with a friendly smile and an introduction, and an opportunity to get to know each other. Because the church is bigger than just this room. The church is bigger than one congregation here and another one there. The church is itself one large community in the world through all times and all places. The body of Christ, the family of God. Which is why we come to the rescue of those who are in need all around the world. We here in Elgin have really formed a community with our neighbors, many of whom have churches of their own, and that's fine, that's great, but they're still our neighbors. And this is still our community. So, every day of the week, at lunch, we open these doors. And we serve lunch to somewhere between 30 and 50 of our neighbors every day, every weekday during the week, from 11:30 to 1. And one of the neat things that has happened is that people who literally live a few doors from each other and have never met before have met here in the community room and eat with each other 5 days a week for lunch. The kids get to know each other. The parents get to know each other. And they get to know us. And we get to know them. And the cool thing in that is how often our neighbors stick around to help clean up. It is not just this service thing that we do for them. It's a meal that we have with them. Also, every weekday, and occasionally on weekends, we have a cooler out there every morning filled with bottles of water. I can't tell you how many people have actually taken the time to ring the bell, or just if they see us in here, knock on the door and thank us for the water. And by the way, it's not just our homeless. There's kids that go by, and it's hot outside. Our mailman every day goes by and grabs one on the way out the door. The police officers walking down the street grab them. And some of our neighbors as well. And they appreciate that, and we get to know them. During the school year, we have our after-school program. 2 days a week, kids come in here, and we tutor them, mentor them, share a snack with them, spend some time with them, getting to know them, sometimes even doing arts and crafts and playing games. Some of their parents, when they come to pick up their kids, have come upstairs. We've ended up teaching some of those folks some English. We've also ended up teaching them even how to quilt and knit, skills that can help them save some money. And again, we've connected. Last night, I had the blessing and the honor of doing a service in here for Emily's quinceañera. Emily lives in the neighborhood. Her mom, Rosa, called and asked if we would be willing to host that. Gail and I afterwards went over to the reception. There was about 150 people there, gathered for this young lady's 15th birthday. A beautiful buffet meal. Sat there talking to people that in various ways were friends related to Emily and her family. Again, community. This is our call. When Jesus ascended to heaven, his last words to his disciples were not, "Go sit in a building somewhere." His last words were, "Go out. Love. Heal. Care for. Watch out for each other. Meet people. And share the grace of the gospel." That's how you make disciples. So we read in Acts tonight that the disciples created a community, not a building, not a church, a community. A community in which everybody knew each other. A community in which this person who had resources helped that person who did not. A community in which those who were healthy cared for the sick. A community that gathered to pray together for those in need. A community that crossed natural boundaries of society. Samaritans and Levites and Jews gathered as one in community. Think about this for a minute. This is what we are meant to be. What an incredible, beautiful, grace-filled thought that is. That our calling in life, our calling in ministry, is to build community and friendship with each other. To be family. To care about each other. To meet each other. And to go find those people we have not yet met and meet them too. This is who we are called to be. This is life as the body of Christ. This is life as the priesthood of all believers. Because the other part of this, and I kind of get a kick out of saying this, the other part of this is it's not up to your pastor to do it for you. You know, I have colleagues. By the way, one of the things I really appreciate about Holy Trinity is that this is not the problem here. This congregation, this community, is all in together, serving together, reaching out together. But I do have colleagues who complain to me that, you know, they show up at their office and somebody says, "Pastor, what are you going to do today to meet the people down the street?" Most of my colleagues respond, "Well, if you'd like to come with me." The incredibly special thing is that we are called to be a loving family that goes out into the world and meets as many people as we can. That is church. That is community. That is life as the body of Christ. We are going to continue these ministries and build upon them. We're going to expand them. We're going to find other ways to reach out to those who are in need. And by the way, our community garden out there, there have been days where Gail and I have walked out there, picked a few things, and knocked on a door or two and said, "Here you go." And our neighbors know that they can come over anytime. It really is about being the community, the body of Christ. We are all one together. And remember that. Jesus' prayer in the garden, right before his arrest, was that we will all be one, even as he and the Father are one. All people, not just those who gather here. All people. So the good news tonight is we walk up these doors knowing that we are called to form community, to share love, to meet people, to care for each other. It's a beautiful thing. God's greatest expectation of us is to meet people and love them. We can do that. Thanks be to God. Amen.